Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 169 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, with my barren walls, along with my co-hosts.
My name is Craig with the same walls that I've had since you've last seen me.
My name is also Craig, also with some barren items behind me. Gives you guys something to look forward to next week when we record. Barry and I should have different backgrounds, right?
Ooh.
I'd like to do something cool, but I don't know if I'll have the space. Like, that'll be the issue here.
I have some stuff in mind.
I'd really not like to have my bed in the background, so I'll have to say, but
Yep.
The living constraints make it a little bit more difficult.
There you go.
Regardless, you know what's not barren? The news. Well, no, the news is kind of barren this week.
It is kind of barren, actually.
We're matching with the news this week. So for me, I've got two pieces of news. We have, my first one is Barbenheimer is the rage, with a lot of industry movie people saying that the excitement from the whole double feature Barbenheimer thing has seen unprecedented people showing up to the movie theater to both see Oppenheimer and Barbie. It does help that both movies are reviewing very well right now. So, you know, we're living in the prime age of cinema, I guess, but it's just nice to see people come out to the movies. You always hear about how it's failing, how movies are dying, it's all about digital and stuff, and you know, the public can still make it out to the movie if they want to go see it.
Yeah, it's funny when things like this are, and what the landscape is going to be like later on, because I'm sure there's some people out there in relative positions of film power that are thinking, how do we do this and recreate this again and again? And like, to be honest, Barbie and Oppenheimer, they are completely different ideas, stories, and genres. So it's like the perfect thing, but like, I can see how people would be trying to recreate this with other top movies that may have a similar thing. Um, I did not. I don't even know at this point. Like, my wife wants to see Barbie, so I want to see Barbie because I'm a good husband. Um, but I'm also interested in the cast. I like Ryan Gosling a lot, but Oppenheimer too. I can't even decide which one I would want to see more. I mean, Oppenheimer, that the whole Manhattan Project is a very interesting part of world/American history, and the result of it. So I don't know. It's good to see, like you said, Barry, people going out to the movies. That 16-year-old kid that normally has a dead day that he's working, and he goes to the movie theater and he's just like, "There's not enough popcorn," or whatever. So
yeah, it's I mean, I just got back from the movie theater today, and I can't remember the last time I saw it so busy. Like, to the point where I walked in with the intention of seeing a movie at 12:40, and it was sold out. And I don't remember the last time I've gone to a movie theater and it was completely sold out, and I had to go to like the 121. I think the last time I saw that was like when I was in high school. But just like the sheer amount of people in the building, I was like, man, this is like unheard of. It's a good thing because I don't want to see theaters die either.
no.
But yeah, it was pretty wild to see today.
Yeah, and it's just excitement. I'm now excited to see the numbers for like opening weekend for both of these movies. Hopefully, they're both as good as the other. I have a feeling a lot more people go to see Oppenheimer. But
I feel like it's going to be Barbie.
I think it's going to be Barbie.
Think so?
Barbie has a wider appeal. You can bring
Yeah.
kids technically too, because I think it's PG-13. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So all right. Yeah.
And it's got the Shrek appeal, where it's like it's for kids, but it's got enough adult jokes in there. Like, I literally hear they drop like adult words
They do.
in it. And
It's
so
not
it's like it's for everything. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely not for kids. I mean, technically it is. I'll get into it later, but like, this is more of an adult movie than anything else.
And then lastly, on my end, as we do have Comic-Con going on this week, we now have a new story trailer for Spider-Man 2 for PS5. Came with a new trailer. We got new info. We also got that there's going to be a limited edition console with a controller. And we are finally now seeing another option where Sony is now selling the console covers separately.
Yes. Getting that one.
The whole point of these console covers being
Whoa,
removable was for this.
whoa. You
It is
remember? Do you remember way back when I got those console covers, those
Yeah.
purple ones,
Mhm.
and you guys were like, "Man, you're stupid, Craig." Well, you didn't say it like that, but you were like, "I wouldn't do it.
Yep.
Wouldn't do it."
Overpriced.
Yes, but also again, though, Spider-Man it's Spider-Man. It's not just regular purple. Sorry, Barry.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, that's about it. Like I don't know how much I want to go into the trailer. Like should we go into the trailer or
It's Spider-Man.
Yeah,
yeah, it's Spider-Man,
friendly.
yeah.
Everybody's gonna buy it.
He's in a
Yeah.
neighborhood. Hmm.
Yep. Miles is there. Venom's there.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Craven's
Craven's
there.
there. Yeah.
Some peaks to some I think Green Goblin did it too, but that's according to the trailer, that's just me. Very reminiscent. There is some
Yep.
like specific call outs in the trailer that are toward the movies of like the ones that a Green Goblin is in. So I really do think we're gonna see Green Goblin here too.
Did we get a price on the console cover?
I did not
Yep.
see that.
Okay. I didn't either. I was
Do you
just
remember
curious.
how much you paid for yours, Craig?
Weren't
Were
they
they
like
like
60?
60?
They were like 60, 69, 99, something like that. It was not. I didn't feel good about it until I got it.
Yeah. I mean, I again, it like flashbacks to the 360 days when I would change out my faceplate. But those were like 20 or $30. They weren't super expensive, and sometimes they came with the game. You would just be like, I remember I got one for like Ace Combat, but man, it's gonna be tough because I really want that Spider-Man one, so I don't have to look at a white PS5 anymore. But if a normal one's 70 and this one is not going to be 70, it's probably going to be 80 or 90.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I'm going to be like, man, do I really need to spend $90 on a cover for my PlayStation?
I mean, you can cancel it or not do that and cancel your pre-order of Spider-Man 2 and get the collector's edition. You could just do that at that point.
Yeah. They should include it with the collector's edition, right?
That would be nice, but
Like throw that in there.
yeah.
In theory,
Yeah.
right?
That'd be
We don't
cool.
get a physical disc, you might as well throw in the console covers.
Because that thing cost them like $5, if that, to make.
For
Yeah,
sure.
oh,
Maybe
yeah.
Probably
10,
like $2.
maybe 10
Most
or 5,
definitely.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. I'll probably still buy it.
And that's all the news I have on my end. What about you guys?
So I have a couple here. You didn't cross off any of mine. I thought you would, but that's okay. First one is Atlas, your two favorite developer, is working on a new Persona fighting game. How do you feel about that?
The Persona fighting games are popular. They do well. I'm not a fighting game guy, but all power to them. People love those games.
What if this is preventing another Persona from coming out, though?
Then you have me. Like then I feel some type of way.
Would you rather have Persona 6 or would you rather have a fighting game in Persona 6 a couple years later?
Here's what I'll say. We have Persona 5 Tactica coming out.
Right.
That'll win me over for a little bit. I'm immediately going to follow up with whenever the Persona 3 remake. I'm just going to go back to that.
And then we have Metaphor.
And then we have Metaphor.
Right.
Yeah, so
I'm not worried about it. Go ahead, make a fighting game.
I think in my perfect world, Atlas would pump out a game every 6 months because even games that aren't critically or not as critically acclaimed, like I played,
he lives in.
I know. I put 95 hours or so into Soul Hackers 2, and that was my first. Like they know what they're doing. Atlas knows what they're doing. Catherine Fullbody, come on.
Yeah, that's a game. I love that game.
The game's awesome.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on Atlas.
Fair enough. I mean, it's probably something that I'd like check out, but I'm not a fighting game person either. But it could be interesting. So going off of, we already talked about the Activision Blizzard stuff going on last week, but a little piece of info I saw in there that I thought was kind of interesting. Activision Blizzard's reporting that PC is their most profitable area and not console right now. When I think about it, I guess it kind of makes sense because majority of people are buying Diablo on PC, I believe. And then I don't know about Call of Duty. I feel like that's still more console than PC, but I could be wrong. But interesting because usually you see consoles more profitable, but not right now, at least for Activision.
I think for the most part, we've seen like gaming PCs now become more popular like than ever before, like especially that. So I feel like, as much as we hear how good the the consoles are doing, the people who are buying consoles most likely also have a gaming PC of some sort, where
Right.
they go to Call of Duty and they use their Discord and play Call of Duty on their computers. Though I hear like my brother plays Call of Duty on his PC, like he's constantly having issues. Like it never runs like a fully smooth experience. Where like for me, it's I don't have any issues. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Diablo on PC.
yeah,
That's
as
the
am
way to
I.
do it.
Yeah.
It
That's
is
the way.
good on console, though. It's very good on console. Diablo 3 on console, I prefer that to PC, but there's just something about Diablo where I'm like, I should play it first on PC because that's
Yeah.
what I've always done with my
I
life.
mean, same thing if they would come out with another StarCraft,
Mm-hmm.
another Command and Conquer, even Age of Empires. I want to make sure I have that on PC. That's just how I played it
Yeah,
growing up. So
true. All right, next one. I wanted to bring up. Have you guys heard about Ant Stream Arcade?
No.
Okay, I wanted to bring this up. So, Ant Stream Arcade, as in like Ant ANT Stream Arcade, just launched on Xbox this week, and I'm trying to find what they're boasting as far as amount of games. But this is basically an emulator with games starting from like Atari up until I believe they have PS1, but there's only like two or three, that kind of stuff. It's available to purchase on your Xbox, so you can technically play a lot of old games on your Xbox. $29.99 for a yearly subscription, or you can pay $70 for a lifetime. It's a very interesting idea. When I look at it, there's I mean, you always see a lot of games. I think I want to say it's like 12,000 games or something like that they
Hmm.
have. The plan is to kind of like Game Pass, remove some, add some as you go on. But I can't help but say that I'm a little curious about dropping the 70 for a lifetime just to be able to play these games again. And you can go and look if you really want to get into it and see like, is there enough games on there that interest you? They have arcade versions of games as well. So it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
uh, what's the extent of the Nintendo stuff they have?
It's quite
Or
a few.
really? Because
Are you
I'm
talking
wondering what it
regular
does.
Nintendo?
Yeah, honestly, any system because I'm
Okay.
thinking about the family membership or the higher tiered membership on the Nintendo side, and the fact that
Right.
that's the way you and I and Barry and other people have access to those old games.
Right. So they're saying it's funny because when you look, it'll say like 1,300, 1,400 games. Officially from Microsoft, they're saying 1,400 games. Now, I know they have Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I want to say Super Nintendo is not as much as regular Nintendo. All right, here we go. So 57 Sega games, 33 Nintendo games, 42 Super Nintendo games, PlayStation games, 2 right now. Um, 5 Game Boy games. You can look at like arcade games, 293.
Wow.
So and they have a ton of Atari. If you're into that, I am not. Commodore 64, they have 358 games. So that's like almost the entire collection there. If they can continue to add to this, that could be something that's worthwhile, even if you're only
Yeah.
spending $30 for the year. I like the idea. I think it's
Yeah.
a very cool idea. Everybody's always trying to figure out how to emulate either on your PC or whatever, and this is a nice, easy option for you. You can just pay the money and just boot up the game on your Xbox and go to town. They have like tournaments, challenges built in that rotate out. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things on there.
If they increase that PlayStation library,
I don't think they will though, because I don't think
yeah,
Sony would
because
let them.
I don't think Sony would let them.
I
Because
don't think so.
because I can think of 15 like
They're all
old
over on
games.
the PlayStation Plus right now, though.
That is true.
So I don't think Sony's going to let that go anywhere near Microsoft, especially not now.
Yeah.
The
And
Monopoly. No.
yeah, and then to tie into that with emulation, the team behind the Dolphin emulator, if you're familiar with Dolphin, has just abandoned all plans to launch on the Switch. Surprise, surprise, they decided trying to go against Nintendo was not a good idea. I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a long time ago. That's not
I was,
that's
I
not
mean, I
news.
was excited that they were going to attempt it. The Dolphin emulator is fantastic. And having the possibility of having that on the Switch, whoo boy, let me tell you, give me some of that. But I understand their thought process being like, Nintendo will sue you into the ground and well below the ground. So don't look for that anytime, anywhere on the Switch.
Though
But
if
yeah, that's all
anybody
I have.
has the money to like survive it, Dolphins should have a decent amount of money to survive it. So
Yeah, but they don't have Nintendo money.
no, they don't. That is true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Nobody does.
Nobody does, at least in the gaming world.
Right.
Um, so I have two. The
Okay.
first one was a leak regarding a PS5 or a potential PS5 Pro console date. It's set for 2024 as the particular date, with the leak obviously not guaranteeing, but saying that it was going to offer 8K resolution.
Nobody has an
Uh,
8K TV.
I know.
This one promises 8K already. It says
Yeah,
it
it
on
Yeah.
the
does.
box.
Yep. Did
And
did did Xbox as well?
Oh,
Didn't it?
um
I feel like it did when they first announced it, the Series X anyway.
I have the box in this chest behind me, but I am not going to go.
I have the
switch
box
over
in
it.
the other room, but I don't want to get up to go
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
yeah, it's too much. And like, and you guys said it best. Nobody has an 8K TV yet. That's still the
Right.
transition that everybody will be. Well, companies first, manufacturers are making into like a more accessible television, and obviously when the prices go down, people will have more access to that as well. But I thought that was funny. November 2024 as a date. People are already jumping on the I'm not going to purchase a PS5 if you're that person that still doesn't have one, because they're going to wait for the Pro. But not a lot in the league, but November 2024 and 8K as a resolution
Yeah. I
offered.
I also heard a potential information that the PlayStation 5 was about to drop in price as well. So that would kind of line up. If their intention is to drop that and then bring out the PS5 Pro, I don't have any desire to buy a PS5 Pro. One, because I don't have any desire to purchase an 8K TV or monitor anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And what games are even going to take
Yeah,
advantage of it?
exactly. Yeah, that's
God of
None.
War. God of War.
I doubt it. They can't even get 4K 60 frames going yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
It's not even possible yet. So they're not. It's going to be 8K 20 frames. Is that what we're looking at?
2 frames.
Mm.
15 frames? No, thank you.
And then the other thing I had was amidst the incredible success that Diablo 4 has had thus far, the season of the Malignant has dropped recently, and with it, a lot of backlash from players due to the insane power level or obtaining power level changes that are happening with that patch. Now, I know that I initially looked at the patch and I was already irked with the fact that you had to start a new player. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had to start a completely new player to even participate in the season. That or alone made me just a little bit, because like a lot of us, except the people who are extremely playing it, are either not done or not fully done with what they want to be done with it, and don't want to start it entirely, especially when the story is so fresh. Well, it's a different story, but especially when you put so much time and effort into it. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
when they recently interviewed, I forget which person on the staff, but they promised to never drop a patch like that again. Is essentially what they did, because I don't know. Have you guys had a chance to try the new season at all?
Nope.
No. My plan was to get back into Diablo after I finished Final Fantasy, but I have not done that yet. And as we were talking before the podcast, my PC will be unplugged for the next couple of days anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
my plan is to go back and at least finish the campaign because I have not done that.
How far are you guys?
I think I'm like level 20.
Yeah, I'm not anywhere
Oh,
close. I'm
I'm
not
around there. I'm
anywhere
not
close
anywhere
to being
close
done.
either.
Yeah.
I was so hyped, and then other games came out and
Yep.
kind of got pushed to the back burner.
Yeah,
And then
at this point, it's been long enough. I've thought about just restarting.
yeah.
I don't want to do that. I put too much time into
Yeah.
restart.
My wife just bought it, so I restarted as a different class. So I don't know. I don't know when
Well,
I'm
then
finishing it.
you're going to be probably the first one to finish that.
Yeah, probably. So, with that being said, we go to games this week, and on everybody's mind,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
did you finish Tears of the Kingdom?
I had that done by Monday, my guy.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
Nice. That's what I'm
Well
talking about.
done. Well done. I didn't think you'd get it done.
I don't know why I didn't, man. I don't know why, and I'll talk about it when I get into it. But I don't know why I didn't finish it. I was like 3 hours away from being done.
Yep. Yep. And you'll be delighted to know for me as well, Final Fantasy 16 has been finished as well. I
Yes,
did hold up my
let's
end of the deal.
go.
I didn't finish as early as Monday. It took me I finished it 3 hours ago, but
That's like me last week when we recorded. I was fresh off beating it.
Yeah, I mean it's side quest mania at the end there.
That it is. But we'll get into both of those. We'll talk. I'll probably end up talking about Pokemon Sleep and Demonologist.
Okay.
Before we get into those big hitters there. What about you guys?
You guys will also be excited to know that I finished Yakuza 0.
Nice.
And I'm on to Yakuza Kiwami, which is the first one. And then I also started playing some Theatrhythm, baby.
Yes.
Some Final Fantasy.
Finally.
Let's go.
Those are what I'm playing, besides Demonologist, obviously, with all of you.
So I also have Demonologist with all of you. And then obviously Tears of the Kingdom. The weird one on the list is, I don't know if you remember way back when we talked about specific games that we were embarrassed that we have not played or finished, and we were going to try to do one. I believe your guys was Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, and I dropped that quick.
Yeah, so did I.
So I'm in a weird period, gentlemen. I don't have an I'm excited for a game until Armored Core, I believe would be the earliest one, maybe Sea of Stars. I thought about Remnant, but I'm not overly excited to purchase at launch.
Yeah.
So I played Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Hey, that's a good one.
Nice.
Started
Yeah.
that this week.
So
I thoroughly enjoyed that game.
It is a good game. I agree too. So here's what we'll do. Let's talk about everything other than Final Fantasy 16 and Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
I'll say this now, and before we talk about those two games, this is full spoilers. I am going full spoilers for both of these games.
Let's go.
Nothing off the table. Right. It is finally time.
Wait, I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom yet.
That is true, but I also know you aren't playing it.
Not right now. It's on the back burner, as they say.
But if at any point, Craig, you don't want to hear about it, just mute us and just stare. Stare into the ceiling, I guess.
We'll be white noise.
There you go.
But let's talk about Demonologist, as we've all been playing that.
Yes.
As a person who does not like scary games, I do enjoy playing with my friends. It's not... And I guess as somebody who's trying to maybe convince someone like myself who's like overly scared of games, like they're very quick jump scares. And because the game is trying to get you to do something else while doing it, you quickly like... And I guess for the most part, you quickly learn to move on. Like, I got scared. Crap, I need to put down my spirit box or look at the ghost
EMF.
cockroach reader. So whatever it's called.
Yep.
I can say for sure, like, I've been playing with both Craig's and also Craig's wife, and it is just a fun game. Like, as much as I am scared a lot of the times to like go off by myself, if you have a good friend group, they do a good job of maybe leaving you by yourself, but also trying to, be there for you when you need them. So I do enjoy you guys pushing me to play this game because I have enjoyed it and I will continue to play it as long as we all are. It's just it's not all about the scares with this game. It's fun in general to play the ghost equivalent of Guess Who.
Yeah. This might be a good way to train people to enjoy horror games now that I think about it, because they're hitting you with those jump scares and you get so used to it that it still makes you jump. Like I still like, if you could see like my screen, it does like the shake because my arm moves because I jump. But it's such a good way of being like, all right, cool, now I'm playing again, to get you to play like the Resident Evils and Silent Hills, because you're like, it's the same thing in those games. You're like, oh man, all right, cool, now we move on. Except for like some stuff in Resident Evil where it's like an extended uneasy feeling. Thinking Resident Evil 8 with the baby, Resident Evil 4 remake with the regenerator.
Oh my God.
Like
I love it.
that's a little different, but I think
Yeah,
this game does such a great job of training you to be okay with jump scares.
it is, and it's the camaraderie, especially if you have a good group.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we were playing, and like you kind of knew where everybody was. Everybody moved quickly, and even if we split up, it wasn't really a big split up.
Right.
The levels aren't tremendously large. When we got to the hospital, I was wondering how large that was going to be because the hospital in Phasmophobia is large. It is, it's very very large, but they do a good job of like, I don't know, condensing the area while still making it feel big. And it's just one of those things to be excited for. They're going to come out with new stuff. Like there's a whole bunch of maps they're going to drop. I'm pretty sure they haven't unleashed all the ghosts,
Mhm.
and even though I keep calling them ghosts, it's but like I don't know. It's just a great game, and you're right. It is kind of like a good way to get people trained to do scary games because you're doing it with your friends, and then it's kind of like that training wheels to then ride the bike into Dead Space or
Yep.
maybe don't go into Dead Space first, but other maybe there's like a medium level that you get to, and then you can get to Dead Space. But it's a good
Yeah, I
game.
think the only thing I still want to know about is because I came into it after you did, Craig, and I never got to experience the actual way it was meant to be played with in-game audio because the in-game audio is still broken
Hmm.
as of the time we're recording. And I think that could change it a little bit because I'm assuming if you're farther away, you can't hear each other, right?
It's better than Faz,
Mm-hmm.
but yes,
And
I
that
think
that would
yeah,
add tension.
it
If
does
you're like, oh man, they can't hear me. As of right now, we're all in Discord. We can all talk to each other at all times. But if it's working the way it's intended, and like we're in the hospital and one of us is upstairs and two of us are downstairs, and you can't hear that person, like that adds some tension for sure.
most definitely. Can
So,
definitely confirm on that.
so I want them to fix that so I can experience that before I give like final decision. But I still think it's a great game.
It
Yeah.
is. You're excited to play it. You think about it 4 hours from the time you're about to
Mm-hmm.
finish work. It's that kind of game, which is how games should be. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to just play this game with my friends.
Yep.
Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah, I guess for the most part, like I've told Craig, I really wish like the XP stuff, like I really wish it wasn't such high requirements to get to things like the hospital and
Yeah.
the Sakamoto house. So there is like a little bit of maybe we need to play on a harder difficulty because it was pretty easy the other night we were playing, but
Mm-hmm.
just in general, and I know the game is still very early. Like you definitely want to see more maps to definitely to begin with,
most
just
definitely.
because the way like if you're playing on easy, and I get it, it's not like the hardest option of it, but you would be playing the same level at least maybe 20 times before getting to the next thing, and by
Mm-hmm.
that point and it's not so much the scares end up not scaring you anymore, but you know what to expect around every corner, where
Yeah.
Exactly.
lately we've been playing the game and it's like brand new to me, so I've been able to kind of figure out and take my time. But these guys will tell you the first two levels, like I was like sticking by someone at all times. I wasn't
Yep.
leaving their side, and now the moment I get my stuff, I'm the first one
Yeah.
to go through the door and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Albeit, like there are certain things I won't do, but definitely.
A couple of the last maps or the last sessions that we played, we literally in the beginning we're looking around, we're like, okay, I got this, you got that. And we're like, wait, where's Barry? And he's like, I'm already inside. Like it's just
The game has like a good arc though because you get that confidence up and then eventually you're going to get hit by a big jump scare and then your confidence just dives down again and you don't want to be by yourself anymore.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that happened to me too. Like the last time we played, I was feeling super confident and one of the ones we went into, one of the maps, I got hit with two jump scares like back to back and then I was nervous to go by myself again after that. I was like, "Man, they're really targeting me."
Yeah.
yeah, we just have to check the difficulties too, won't we? Because
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how that changes things.
Right.
And going to the opposite end of the spectrum, Pokemon Sleep, released on mobile. There really isn't much to say. It is an app that tracks your sleep in a way, and every night that you're sleeping, it judges you on how you sleep, and from there, you wake up the next morning and you do a report where you see all the other Pokemon sleeping. You take pictures of them, which I guess sounds weird in retrospect, but um, Like it's all about discovering how Pokemon sleep. Like overall, this is a very slow game. You don't do anything fast here, much like sleeping. Um, though I will say like it is very very cute. Like they do really good models of like all the Pokemon. Whether there's all these Pokemon have like at least 4 different sleeping styles. So, there's one with Pikachu kind of curled up in the fetal position. There's another one where Pikachu's like stretched out with his belly up and things like that. So it's very cute. Um this is like you're not playing this game to I guess get immediate satisfaction from it because the 2 days that I've been playing it, like you're not really doing a lot. I gotta remember to feed my Snorlax breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then press the sleep thing on Pokemon Sleep, and then other than that, you're not doing anything. It's a
Interesting.
very very easy game, and I guess I'm interested to see how long I keep up with it for. Just because it is something where it's like the isn't a lot going on. They really there isn't much for me to do other than interact with the app, 3-4 times a day, and then leave it be after when I'm sleeping.
Does it have a Pokedex? Like, are you collecting Pokemon? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it called a sleep a desk? A dex? They missed the mark there, and I'm mad. I'm mad with them.
I will make sure they get that complaint.
Yeah, memo sent.
Yeah. But yeah, I won't go into FF16 just yet. I'll let you guys talk about your
All
your game.
right.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Finally finished Yakuza 0. 58 hours in, and you know what's hilarious is I didn't even touch the side stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, dude, it's wild because there's 2 characters obviously, and the one character has a real estate side thing that you can do, purchasing real estate, and the other one has running the club. I didn't even touch them, and I was still almost 60 hours. So having finished the first one, started the second one, which is actually the first one. These have to be some of the best stories in video games. They have to be, because that story in Zero is incredibly well done. And it does have like some of the craziness that you expect from the series, but like the fact that they made a game about this small piece of land in a fictional town in Japan that all these different houses are fighting over, and made it interesting to me and made me care, was like incredible to me. So I'm excited to play through all of them. I mean, it's going to take me a long time, obviously. I even picked up Like a Dragon, the one that came out this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
I picked that up, so that's waiting there for me. Once I get through, this one, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Like a Dragon, Ichin, all those, and then there's 2 more coming. But I would like just stress to everybody to at least try these games. I know they're not going to be for everybody. They're not in English, so you're doing a lot of reading. But man, they're so well done. They're
Yeah.
just incredibly well crafted games.
Yeah, that's like they have a specific way they do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it just works.
Yeah.
And I remember buying one of them like way back, I think like 3 or 4 years ago for PS4,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't feeling it because I didn't give it a chance. I gave it like 10 hours, maybe 5. And now anything they release I want to try. They're like a weird like semi Atlas light to me, where
Yeah.
like I'm excited for the new Like a Dragons. They just took that and they were like, let's do RPG. and
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, okay, like, yeah, sure. But you're right, they do tell like the best stories.
Yeah.
And like you could argue that some tell them better, but they just know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I'm glad you're playing the series again. I'm glad you're going through it.
It's like the perfect game to have in the background where I'm like, I don't know what to play tonight or today. I'm going to play like 2 hours of this, and then I'll get back to it in a couple days or whatever. So it is taking me a while to get through them, but at least like I enjoy my time. Um, I never get bored of those games. There's so much to do besides the main stories, even just going around the city and checking out the millions of different things you can do besides like going into the arcades and playing full versions of Sega games. You can do bowling, baseball, going into the clubs, karaoke, dancing. It's just insane the amount of stuff that they cram into these games.
Yeah, and
Um,
You know
Good.
what too? I feel you on the real estate thing because in
Mhm.
Like a Dragon they have the same thing, and that's why I didn't finish Like a Dragon because I
Yep.
got sidetracked with the real estate game. It's pretty fun, but then I just
It
stopped
is.
playing. You know,
I
so
appreciate that you don't have to do it, but like if you really want to get into it, you can. But I was just at the point where I was like, I'm more interested in figuring out what the story is than purchasing all these buildings.
Yeah.
And it does unlock like your skill tree, more options. So I didn't have those, but I still didn't have an issue beating the game. It can be a little unfair at times because it is an older game. So some of the fights can be a little ridiculous, but I never found it like I wanted to throw my controller because I was so mad. So yeah, definitely check those out. And then also speaking of cramming stuff in, man, Theatrhythm, Final Fantasy, dear Lord.
Yeah.
So I obviously picked Final Fantasy 7 to start with. That's the one I picked. So I was like, duh.
Mhm.
And I played a couple and I was like, this is too easy. I got to bump this up. I mean, we're some DDR experts in here, right? We're some rhythm game experts. So of course I went up to what is that, Ultimate? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. Are you talking about like
Expert.
the purple difficulty?
I don't know. There's some that like I think it's red.
So yeah, it's not ultimate. I think like
Ultimate's the like not all the songs have ultimate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, red is like insane. I think is what it.
Yeah, that's the one I bumped up to, and I feel like that's providing a good challenge. I haven't really tried ultimate, I don't think. But it's like it's difficult enough where like I'm failing some, and I'm like, all right, I got to go back in and reassess how I'm doing that because sometimes it can get a little chaotic. But I'm enjoying just listening to the music. I don't since I'm still kind of early, like I see some of the like quests that they have you do for the songs,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know exactly how to do that because they don't really explain it. Where it's like, use your abilities. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm using abilities or not. I'm just trying to hit the notes, and I'm assuming that's what it's doing. Am I right? Or am I
Yes.
supposed to be doing something else?
So like certain characters activate like certain abilities, like when the boss comes up, or like
Yeah.
when they're halfway through the song. So it's a matter of like I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Like if you want to dive deep into the roots of this game to complete those quests, you can have a whole bunch of characters with um with abilities that go off 5 times a song. But there are
Okay.
some characters who don't set off their abilities until the boss comes up, even if you get that far. So like
Right.
that's one of the things that you kind of have to learn or use with this is that you have to balance, like they want you to balance your party so that way you can survive longer in the harder songs with healers, but then
Hmm.
also work your way and finish the boss and everything. Not that any of that stuff really matters. Like I try to go for the quests that are attainable in my
Right.
eyes, but some of them like they want you to do like these ridiculous things, and I have level 99 overall characters. Like I
Hmm.
have some of the best
of
characters
course
in
you
the
do.
game too.
I
I
mean,
play
you level up quick.
yes, and
Okay.
also if you have like the lucky egg and the golden egg, like you level up very quickly. So
Yeah.
you can get level 99 characters without much of a sweat, if any at all. But
Hmm.
even then, it's some of them, trying to figure out how to complete the quest is almost like an entirely separate game on its own.
That's what I mean. Because
And
I'm
that's why
like,
I try not to like focus on them too much. I just enjoy
right.
the music.
And I'm just like, all right, I'm picking the song based on like, oh yeah, I like that song. Most times, like when they give you two options, I'll do both. I'm like, oh, I'll do this one, then I'll go back and do the other one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just some of that stuff is a little confusing, and I'm like, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I'm really just picking a song and trying to hit all the notes, and I don't even see what's happening with the characters on screen at all. Like I did have one of the first ones was like get to the boss or beat the boss, and I was like, I don't know how I do that. Like I would like I felt like 100% the song and somehow I wasn't at the boss, and I'm like, I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yep.
It's like they don't explain it at all.
Yeah, it's a hard mechanic to understand. Like
Right.
I absolutely agree with that. So
So I played that song like 3 times. So I was like, up until that point I had done all the quests. I was like, well, how am I supposed to get to this boss if I'm 100%ing this song? Do I need to play it on a harder difficulty? I don't know. Like I wish it would tell you, and I just gave up and moved on to the next song. But yeah, that's like the only bummer for me on it. is like I would almost prefer them just to be like, here's the songs, do the songs, level up your characters,
Yeah.
and go on. And I guess you can just ignore the quest, and maybe that's what I should do. But
Mhm.
other than that, man, it's fun. And there's so many games on there. Their
Yeah,
music, it's insane.
it really is insane how much music there is in there, and I would expect the Final Fantasy 16 DLC to
Mhm.
eventually be in there too.
Let's
Those are good
go.
songs in there.
Yeah, get me the Hideaway songs right now. Well, the second Hideaway, I guess, would be
Yeah.
faster. I don't know. Those are the slow songs, actually. I'll take that
Yeah.
back.
Those songs are so good that like I was in the movie theater today and they had a ad for Final Fantasy 16, and before I even saw anything on the screen, I heard the music and I was like, Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
right.
16. I knew immediately. I was
Yes.
like, oh, that's an icon battle music right there.
That's
Immediately. But yeah,
all
that's what I play.
right. I'll go through Rift Apart real quick because
Yeah.
that is not a new game at all. The biggest thing that I have, I'm only about maybe 10 hours in. It's so good, and it is a commercial for the PS5's capabilities. It's just you saw what they were doing
Mhm.
even way back when. It utilizes the controller with sounds. The riffs when you're actually going through them, and the seamless transition to another level or another piece of a level is fantastic. And then it's your classic Ratchet and Clank story. That doesn't take itself too seriously. It's actually quite buffoonery in its own way. Um, I know if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, there was a little bit of backlash on Rivet just because Rivet is not Ratchet.
Mhm.
Um, I like her. It's just another character to play with. It splits up the action.
Yeah.
Um, it allows you to go to different worlds as different characters, which I immediately liked because I got to the part where you go to one planet as Rivet and one as Ratchet. Like the first time you do that, I don't know if you do it again yet. Um, but I think the only thing that I might run into is my skepticism, and I'll say Jedi Survivor specifically caused this skepticism. And yeah, I guess Jedi Survivor did. The new Jedi series did is it looks so good that I feel like there's not 12 planets. and
Yeah.
that's what and that's what the other game like they obviously they put a lot of time, care, and tenderness into it, and because of that you get like an 8 planet kind of thing. That's my feeling, is it's just going to be like Jedi Survivor where I go and then I come back to the same planet later and then I go, which it doesn't spoil it if you guys just nod your head, but like
Yeah.
I'm not worried about getting Ratchet and Clank spoiled for me. But it's a fun game, and it's nice to go back to what is quite a bit of time back, but like what seems far away and also seems close, in terms of what a game came like that was back then. So it's good.
All right. This is the moment where I tell you all spoilers ahead for Final Fantasy 16 and Tears of the Kingdom. If you haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom yet, what are you doing? Just finish the game. Really, just do it. There really is no need to 100%
I
it.
used to be like you.
Yeah. And for Final Fantasy 16, I do understand it's a little bit on the like soonish side,
Sure.
but I kind of want to get all of our ideas out while at least it's all semi fresh in our heads, because Final Fantasy do tend to be bigger games and longer games, so you kind of miss vital points and forget things just in general. Which would we like to talk about first? I'll leave that up to you guys.
Tears of the Kingdom. Get
Tears
it
of the
out of the
Kingdom.
way.
Okay. So Tears of the Kingdom, like overall, and I guess what I'll go with is it's going to be kind of two different experiences. I don't know how easy of a time you had with it, Craig. I did not fully 100% it. I barely got the second row of hearts. I used a potion to give me some temporary yellow ones. But like the ending for me was a lot of fun because I struggled with it. I treated it almost like a Dark Souls boss. Um, a lot of the times it's just too easy when you 100% you get the Hylian shield, you get the the maxed out Master Sword and things like that. What I really enjoy about this is that there's this sense of story where Breath of the Wild didn't. Um, you the moment kind of get all four of what you think is the ending, it's time to do the big boss battle. They kind of trick you with, oh, there's one more thing we have to do, and then you go to the fifth temple that you don't really, kind of forgot. Oh, there should be a fifth temple, and there is. So you do the fifth temple. You get I forget what her name is. You look.
Mineru,
Yeah,
Mine-
Minero, or yeah.
Mineru.
Uh, you get her as well, so now you're a party of 5, and it's just like kind of the epic moments that I really enjoyed. Like getting down to Ganondorf's like level is tough. It is not easy to do.
Love that.
It's guarded by a Lionel. You don't have to face him. I didn't. I just left
I
him.
didn't. I
Uh,
did not. I looked
I
for the
just
exit.
so I did that, and eventually, somewhere, when you're going down the area, it tells you, hey, your spirit people can't help you anymore. You're too far deep. So it's like, okay, I'm now truly by myself. Do I have everything I need? Kind of deal there. So for me, I just I just skipped them all. I You can easily paraglide down to the bottom of the staircase
Hmm.
and walk the other way and start the cutscene. So you then realize, okay, I'm now back in the same ruins that Zelda and I were in the beginning. You finally walk up, and yeah, now it's time. Here comes the I wouldn't say the final boss fight, because you go in there and it's pretty much, it gives you the chance to face against Ganondorf's hordes of armies. So it's you by yourself, and then your friends come in to help you as soon as you kind of realize, oh, there's way too many enemies for me here for me to deal with. Um, though if you have the right contraption, it's very easy to take care of. So your friends come and help you, and you kind of get this feeling like, okay, like this is more climactic, like kind of Twilight Princess or Ocarina of Time feel, where it's, your friends you just left your friends behind because they told you to go and face Ganondorf on your own. And if you faced Phantom Ganondorf, there are clues to how you can kind of play against him and things like that.
Yep.
But the final boss battles, it's tough. It is. He's inflicting gloom on you. If you have the food to kind of negate it, it makes it a little bit easier. But it's funny in a way, because there's the first part of the boss battle, and you're like, okay, it's kind of easy. The second part of the boss battle loads, and it feels like it's a bug, but his health, all of the boss's healths are in the middle of the screen. And
Yep.
then you start phase 2, and instead of like moving his health bar like and centering it, it starts where it normally does and just extends. It
Yeah.
looks stupid. Um
Yeah.
but I get what they're trying to do. It's this dramatic effect of like, okay, now there's this the Ganondorf you're now finally facing has over 2 times the health you're usually used to, and he's now dodging you, and he can do counter surges if you're not, or counter flurries if you're not careful enough to dodge his. So there's this fun back and forth with it. You finally get through that. That's the hardest part of the boss fight, which like I really enjoyed. Up to that point, Craig, do you want to add any notes? I know I just talked a whole
No, no,
bunch.
no, no. I'm glad you went over it because I'll just build off of it. The I had like this moment when I started, and it was like I went back to my house. I got my strongest weapons because I'm the weirdo that puts up like the weapons on the wall and puts the stronger ones up, or like the rare ones. So I went and I got all my stuff. I did some cooking. I waited for a blood moon to cook, for that extra boost in the last half hour before the new cycle of the new week or whatever. And I was like, I'm good. I'm ready. And then I descended, and I don't know what it is, but the gloom aspect of this game, I am so on board with. It is such a devious part of this game. And as you're getting deeper and you're just like claustrophobically surrounded by gloom, and there's parts where you're trying to navigate and you got to jump a little bit because there's just gloom all over the floor. They literally throw the whole menu of enemies at you. Likes, everything is on the way down, including that Lionel that I also dodged because it wasn't even a regular Lionel. It was like a gloom silver Lionel, I think, or it was one of the upper tiered ones. And then you're going, you get down, and I fought enemies just for the thrill of it. And then you get down there, and like you said, there's this epic moment where you can't have your party members anymore, or at least the spirit version of them, and then your party members show up and they're like, "Hey, we're here to save the day with you," in classic style, and then they hold everything off while you go fight Ganondorf. And then here's my difference in my experience. it wasn't hard. I'll tell you why. There's
We know
only
why.
one. There's only one. So way hour 30, I don't know. I'm guessing hour 30. I trudged beneath the one of the wells, and I'm pretty sure it's beneath the main lookout landing one. You can get the champion or the champion leathers if you go deep enough. It's either that or you can get it in the castle. It's one or the other. Long story short, I upgraded the champion leathers throughout the game and basically wore them the whole game. When you get it, it's like 22 defense when you upgrade it fully. So like what I was wearing was the problem because when Ganondorf was hitting me, he was glooming me, but he was taking off half a heart or a quarter of a heart. That's just it. It was an epic battle. I loved every second of it. When he had his clones going at it, it was great. Like you said, Barry, when you come in with the knowledge from fighting Gloom Hands that inevitably come Phantom Ganon, doing the flurry and then having him turn the flurry on you, I was like, oh no. I was like, somebody's getting spicy, like somebody's getting real spicy up in here. But it was still epic. It was an epic battle. I enjoyed the amount of forms he had as Ganondorf in his own right, and it was just great. And then also the last nod, if I can backtrack, last nod, it'll be like 2 seconds, is creating Minerva's golem or whatever you call it, her whatever she rode. That
You
was
you,
actually kind of fun for me.
you pilot a Gundam. You have
Yeah.
you pilot a Gundam is what it is, and it makes exploring the gloom the depths a lot easier.
And
For
fun.
sure, it is, yeah, because it's more like, okay, now I'm on top of this gigantic weapon, and it's just fun to use, sort of
Yeah,
deal.
and that sucks too because you get it at the end, like literally the end, and
Mhm.
like I never used it, like outside of because it's cool. You do use it, and then they say, "Hey, go here," and it's like so far away in the depths, so you get to use it for a good amount of time. But yeah, other than that, like I don't want to take away from the last part. I don't know if you want me to describe it, but after Ganondorf's done, what happens, Barry?
So I'll let you go into it. The one thing that I did forget to notice is it's a really good idea, and they did a good job of like your Master Sword doesn't break during your fight with Ganondorf, and that's like the smartest game design choice I think they could have made,
Yeah.
because it would have been so annoying to like have to switch out your weapon because your Master Sword broke while facing the ultimate boss. Like, come on, like just good game design choice on their part to be like, okay, during the final boss battle, like the Master Sword, it doesn't have any issues. It's not going to run out of energy. It's not going to break. You have that, and that is your weapon for the entire time.
Or
Yeah.
hear me out. We could just get away with just completely remove weapons breaking because it's a
It
stupid
is.
idea. It's got to be one of the dumbest game mechanics of all time. It really is. Like, give us every other game is like, here's your weapon. You'll find a better weapon and you can switch it out. But the whole breaking thing, in my opinion, is literally one of the dumbest mechanics that's ever been invented.
Yeah, there's even a handful of games that are like, all right, your weapon is broken, go
Yeah.
visit a blacksmith and
Yeah,
repair
go
it.
repair it.
But you
Yeah.
still have it. Like,
Yeah. So dumb.
Especially if
I
it's a
hate
weapon
it.
you like. That's usually
yes. Yeah, the Bigoron sword, never used it. Whatever the Rito bow is, never used it. They're just like I kept buying rooms in my house to hang up these weapons that I don't want breaking. Sword of the Sky, never used it. Got it, never used it. It's gonna break, you
Yep.
know? But yeah, after you do the dance with Ganon, I mean, what's better than a dragon? So, especially because you have like 4 just like roaming around the entire game. But yeah, Ganon does the unthinkable. Wow, I'm making this really sound dramatic. Ganon does the unthinkable. Ganondorf. He does the unthinkable and he succumbs to his greed and eats the jewel that's encrusted in his face, and then he turns into a dragon version of himself, which naturally is much larger than the other 4 dragons that you have dealt with. I don't know what it is. I don't know how many dragons you saw, Craig, or like jumped on or whatever. I know how many you probably did, Barry, playing enough. I
Zero.
can't stand the eyes of the dragon. They're creepy.
Yeah, no, it
They are
is kind
so
of terrifying.
creepy.
It is kind of
So
terrifying, yeah.
So, like in this battle, you have to jump onto his body and eventually his head in order to finish out the battle. And that head, that last piece, I couldn't stand getting closer to his face. It wasn't a Dead Space scare, but it definitely unnerved me getting close to his face. Do something different with the eyes. Another footnote here. Um, especially the light dragon's eyes. But it's a great battle. That what was good about that one is it wasn't hard. You're already kind of like, oh, I got through this. I hope this isn't crazy. And it's very forgiving. The last portion, Ganon kind of has one move. He just keeps doing it. He's a dragon. You could probably guess what that move is. And it's just like glide down, don't die. And then if you glide too far, you get saved. I'll leave that spoiler, or like I won't spoil that part. But it was a good ending. I still got goosebumps when I saw Ganondorf just show up in whole, like, like not just the demon king, like the skeletal one, but in his self. It's just great seeing Ganondorf in games because of, it's Ganondorf. Come on, you know. So I don't know what they do after this, Barry. It kind of ends with with Zelda being like, I'm home, and then it goes into like what I would consider a very epic credits between the art that they put up
Yeah.
and the way it's laid out. I mean, Final Fantasy had a good one too, but um, I don't know where they go from here, which doesn't worry me because you'll always find a story with Zelda and Link. Zelda gets kidnapped, Zelda's gone, Zelda needs help gardening, and
And
Link's
Link
there.
will forget his memory every time.
And he will forget. He has the worst memory of all the memories. So
Yeah, I do enjoy the fact that I would appreciate at least if it was the last of this open world type stuff. Um, just because like it does end on what I think is a good note for this to end. I and overall, like, and you're right, like I love the fact that on the final, like, you're facing the dragon, there's kind of this loop that you go through. It's like, okay, it's kind of nice to beat him, and like the whole ending portion of it is actually like cinematically very cool.
yeah,
um
for
I
the
was
Switch too.
Yeah, it was I was playing it on my TV, so I wasn't playing it on the go for this
Yeah.
portion. So it was nice, and it was nice in that regard. And maybe the only thing I really would have wished is maybe like they did all of this like hinting to maybe like Twilight Princess being in it. There was no, like, other than like the weird sounds, it feels like they reused. Like there is no hint or anything to to Twilight Princess. So there's none of that. But just like at the end of the game, I was like, you know what, I'm happy, like, with what I felt. Like it's not like this empty feeling where in Breath of the Wild you finish the boar fight, and it's like that's it. Like, no, like I got a good accomplished feeling from the end of this game, and that's all I can ask for in reality, is to put all your time into the game and get a satisfying ending. And it is a satisfying ending for I think for everyone. I do think like the after credits roll on a little bit longer than I think they should.
They were long.
And there's kind of this, I'm sorry, there is a pointless scene after the credits where I was like, okay, what did that
There
do for
was.
anybody? Like,
There
that,
was. It wasn't a
like,
Marvel extra scene. Now,
yeah. It's not a post credit scene that adds to anything, or
Yeah.
it doesn't even like give you a clue. Like, there's no clue as to whether or not they're doing Smiles of the Kingdom next or something like that.
Ooh.
So
Frowns of the Kingdom.
Frowns of the Kingdom or something. So it's all over the place there. But again, like this, I'm happy the game got the praise it did. Do I think it's a perfect 10? No, not by any means. But the ending of the game is satisfactory enough that I do not regret my time with the game.
Yeah, I agree. And there's small things, me personally, I wish that Kakariko Village would have had more of a place in this because I'm so used to it from Breath of the Wild. They kind of make it like this is the last place you go, you know. Other than that, here's some side missions, like they kind of just do that. I like Kakariko Village a lot. I remember the first time I got to it in Breath of the Wild when they point you in the direction and you get through the dueling peaks and it's there or farther down, but it's there, and like other than that, there's like other small stuff, but it's a great game. Um, it it definitely lands in my top 5 without playing Spider-Man 2 or whatever that Lord of the Fallen
Mhm.
and a couple of other gems that are popping off in the late portion of this year. Without playing anything else, I don't know where it is in my top 3. It is in my top 3 right now, though. It's not one. I think I've said multiple times what my one is still, but it's definitely it's in my top 3, maybe 4, if I really think. So
That's fair.
So with that being said, before we get into FF16, Craig, do you now want to go back to playing the game more or no?
No,
Okay,
no,
fair enough.
no.
put the credits. That's
I,
right.
I still am gonna play it. I just like I don't know. I there's so much I have to do that like I do need to just go in and for me just do whatever the main missions are and just get out because I have no interest in spending 100 hours in this game
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
None. Like all the stuff you said you did, I was like I could care less. Could not care at all. Like just give me the main mission and let me go and I'll be like, all right, that was an interesting story, I guess, you
Yeah.
know. But I'm not like a huge Zelda fan, so
True.
You know what you are a fan of though? Final
Final Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Hey, let's
That I am.
go.
That I
Uh,
am.
you
Let's
go
go.
if you want to go ahead, lead off, kind of go into wherever you want to. Craig and I will bounce off of that, but him and I both talked about
Um
Zelda for.
I think we're still accurate what I said last week as far as my placement in the all-time rankings of Final Fantasy. I don't think that's changed. I still think 7, 9, 10, 16. I think that's where it goes. I found the story incredibly, incredibly good. The side missions, not so much. I felt like it could do with less side missions. If they would have cut out those last 2 dumps of side missions, I think this would have been a top 3 all time Final Fantasy game for me. Just because I think the story is so good. I think starting off with a great character like Sid, and again, we
Mm-hmm.
are going into spoilers, and then I was taken so far back by them taking him out.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yep.
what? Okay. So then at that point, I'm playing the whole game like, I don't think anybody's safe. And which is a good feeling to have for a game where you feel like anybody could die at any moment. I even thought Jill was going to die
Yeah.
multiple times, actually.
Yeah.
I think Jill is a well done character. Barry and I talked before we recorded. I think she has the same face as Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. I think they reused her.
She kind
I,
of does, man.
yeah, I'm sticking to that story. I think she is, and
No,
that's not a
she
bad thing.
does.
Lightning's great. Um, I I don't mind the medieval setting, even though I prefer more normal times, but I think it works. Uh, man, I'm trying to think. The standout for me is the boss battles are some of the best boss battles I've seen in a video game. I really do think that's fair. The icon battles are so over the top, but even besides those, because looking back at it, there really isn't a whole lot of icon battles. There's what, maybe 5, 4, 4,
Yeah,
5.
yeah, you got Garuda, Titan,
Yep,
Bahamut,
yep.
Ar-
Odin,
Odin. Are we including
Ultima,
Ultima?
I'd include
Because you
Ultima.
fight
Ultimas.
him
I'd
twice.
include Ultima.
Yeah,
Because
he
you
has like
technically
6
fight him
forms.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, as a Final Fantasy fan for the majority of my life, I enjoy seeing the callbacks. I enjoy seeing the crystals. I enjoy Ultima being the big baddie. To me, that's cool. I like
Yeah.
the way he looks. I like the way he talks, even though he talks too much.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you want in your villain. You want that guy who's just talking your ear off for 30 minutes. And you're like, just shut up. Just
Let
he
me
thinks
whack
he's
you. Yeah.
yeah. You think you're so smart as this all-knowing being, and you're really just an idiot.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy that the crystals were such a big part of it. To me, that's huge in Final Fantasy. You don't really get that in Final Fantasy 7, though. Now that I think about it. But anyway, I I don't know. Like it's just such a well-crafted story. Clive is such a likable character. Jill is such a likable character. Everybody in your base are such likable characters. Even the blacksmith and the lady who runs the shop,
Yeah.
down to
Yes.
them, like they're cool too. Don't I could care less about the old guy and his history. Don't care.
I
Or
love
the
Vertiz.
lady, or the lady with her history lessons. Please
Oh
stop.
yeah,
Don't ever put that in the Final Fantasy game again. Ever.
that was
I
weird.
I live these scenarios. I don't need to go back and have you tell me that I need to go have her tell me what's going on in the world. I know what's going on. I don't need a recap. But yeah, I mean, one of the best ending boss battles in a Final Fantasy for sure. I nothing for me tops Final Fantasy 7 Sephiroth. Like nothing will ever. Nope. 10 is pretty good with Sin,
10 is pretty good with
um,
Sin.
and it being your dad. That's kind of cool. 9 was a cool ending. 8 is forgettable. Um, yeah, it's definitely it's top 3 best ending boss for sure. And yeah, I don't know how our PS5s are still standing because boy, when things pop off, are things popping off
Oh my
and just
god.
putting your PlayStation through the paces for sure.
Yeah, when you first do Garuda's fight
Mhm.
and you're running up what essentially is a landscape that Garuda is tearing apart,
Yep.
and you're like, how can this get any better? And then you
Yep.
go and you do Titan,
Yeah.
and it's just redonkulous.
How
And he
can this
has,
get any better?
how can this get any better? And then
Yep.
you do Bahamut, and
Yep.
you're like, oh my god,
Yep.
there's no way, there's no way they can do it. I, and then Odin and the Ultima fights. I enjoyed the first Ultima fight. I thought that was the best fight until we did some more.
Mhm.
Until you do some more with Clive. Hugo is a fantastic sub antagonist. What do they call it? Co-antagonist?
Yeah.
Whatever. He's not the main one, but he definitely was. He was a mad guy. I enjoyed that section when you were hunting him down because I don't know. I like the angry guy that had one thing he liked because he's so powerful and rich, and you were the person who killed that person, so like that's just all he cares about now. I enjoyed the anger, and I felt it
Mhm.
through the screen when I was fighting him, and in the scenes where he was literally destroying his own palace, kind of,
Yeah.
just like doing that. So, and then you have what was it, Dion? Was Dion the Bahamut? Is that
Yes.
his name? Yeah,
Yeah.
so then you have him, and he's like the fallen prince, unaware of all the trivial, but then aware of all the trivial stuff going on behind the scenes, based off Clive's mom and his dad, and he survives, and he has to make his way back psychologically, but he still is part of Bahamut, and Bahamut's part of him, so he could still kind of help. And then he just does his thing for the team. It's just there's so many different things going on that I enjoyed. And you're right, Clive is a likable character. Jill, I was really hoping didn't die, and I'm glad she made it through. Like
Yep.
I thought she was gonna die. Like,
Mhm.
especially when she got taken. And I'm forgetting his name. Barnabas. Barnabas was an interesting character too. Barnabas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Barnabas.
Yes.
Mhm.
Barnabas was an interesting character too because of you think he's a puppet, but he's like a very willing puppet, so he's not.
Yeah.
The splitting of the ocean, or of
So
the
cool.
that was so cool.
That's
Yeah.
metal.
Uh,
It was metal.
that was so, and
Yeah.
you fight there with like
Yep.
no regard of when the water's coming back down. Like it's just great. And I
Yep.
was like you, going back to Jill one last time. I was like you because I'm noticing that you're collecting these icons, and I'm like, well, you're definitely gonna have to get Shiva. They
Yep.
threw Shiva in our face at the beginning, so I thought Jill was gonna die specifically on that. I thought because that's how you were getting them. You were getting them off of deceased in the beginning.
Yep.
You were getting them off of deceased people, and then there was more willing givings that happen, like Phoenix and such. But I don't know. What's your favorite battle, guys? Like, let's get that
It's
out
the
there.
end. It's
It's
the
the
end.
end.
Only because here's what sold me, because for me it was like Bahamut is a phenomenal boss fight, Odin is a phenomenal boss fight, and I was going back and forth. What sold me on the Ultima fight was um the Gundam combining of Phoenix and Clive together. That's the only way I can describe it, is like almost like Power Rangers going into the Megazord where they combined. I was like, that shouldn't work, but it does for me. And I was like, oh, okay. That sold it, because I was like, that's so stupid, but I like it.
What about you, Barry? You saying the last fight too?
Yeah, that last fight with Ultima, and like the one thing that I always enjoy, and what I enjoy most about this game too, is like it let me do it how I wanted to. The
Mhm.
last portion of it, I got to do whatever I wanted to Ultima, and I ended
Yep.
him how I wanted, which is with style,
Mhm.
as well. I that was my whole thing, and I was telling Craig when we weren't recording too. In the end, the only thing I cared about was getting to stagger and dealing over 100k of damage every time I got someone into stagger.
Yep.
Once I realized that I didn't need Garuda to like do the stagger anymore, Odin's
Oh my
playset
god,
is just so
yeah.
much
Oof.
fun.
So
Yep.
good.
I didn't realize how good Shiva's Diamond Dust could be, because
Mhm.
like Shiva's Diamond Dust is crazy. I still kept the Phoenix power because
Yep.
shout out to Phoenix and Ifrit, your original two homeboys. You know,
Yeah.
never asked anything from you. Was
What a
always
great
there.
brother. What a great brother.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that final boss fight was just the and it just goes to show how far that team has come with like boss battles, where they they make it a point to where if you're the ultra aggressive type, you're gonna die. Because there are these moves that you need to back off for.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
focus on dodging, in which someone like me who, for Final Fantasy games has always kind of just been head first, like it was refreshing to step back, focus on dodging, build up your mega flare, and
Yeah.
then when he's
Yes.
done and sitting there, you just pop that off, and
Yep.
it's I don't know how.
And
Yeah, I don't know how our PS5s are living right now. Like
No,
mine,
I
mine has earned a good rest. Is
I
how I
yeah,
feel
for
about it.
sure.
I kept trying to finish any big enemy with Mega Flare so I could just finish and just like put the controller down and be like, "Yep." Like, but yeah, Odin's skill set's great. It's just a nice world. Some of the backtracking is okay for the side quests, but like they keep introducing things. You don't even get to the desert until like what seems like a long time, and then there's that portion, and then the section where Barnabas's kingdom is just ravaged. So it made a good approach to Odin battle slash, like you're getting to like the last tier of the last section of the game. I couldn't get over how ravaged his land looked. It looked, because we weren't seeing what his kingdom was like, but we kept hearing like, oh, there's this great king. He made his way out of nothing and such like that. Like we hear all these good things. And then you get there and you see a king that literally did not care and just destroyed everything, or neglect and destroyed everything, just to get what he wanted. So I don't know. It's a fantastic game. It deserves to be in the top Final Fantasies of all time.
Yeah.
Um, the story is I like your ranking of the stories, Craig, kind of where it's at. I'm a little bit more flexible with 9. I think it's better than 9.
Could be.
Um, but
I
like
could be convinced, I guess.
I even with eight being my baby and like what I grew up on, I think it's better than 8 now.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it a little bit more. I think it's better than 8. But I don't know. It's
Take
just
take any of those boss battles from 16 and I dare you to find one from 15 that matches. No.
The and,
They've
and
come
that
a long way.
and that's something I
maybe
just
maybe the
wanted.
Leviathan fight and that
No.
would, but
No.
Not even that. Like
Yeah.
the one thing I wanted to mention is like with my brief history, like 7 is in progress right now, considering that I've been playing the remake. I'm not playing the classic, and I haven't played
Classic's so
really.
different though.
Yeah, no, I know it's different, and
Yeah.
maybe one day I will play that, and I probably should.
Mhm.
But it's like this right now is my favorite Final Fantasy. Like I cannot explain or like give you the feeling of like the I can't think of better boss fights. Like, and
Yeah.
it's maybe because I'm only 4 hours now, fresh out of finishing the game. But every time I was in one of those icon boss fights, it was I didn't blink. Like it was the I didn't look at my phone. It was
Yeah.
like it's very rare that like a developer hypes up something so much. And I think I remember we were all maybe a little iffy on
Yep.
icon fights.
Yep.
And I have done a complete, 360 like view on them, and I love them. Every part of them is fun. They're different. They all bring their own aspects to it. Like really, and I I get attached to the characters. I'm really surprised how much Joshua ends up playing a part in this, considering that
Yes.
after
Good
the
point.
demo, you're kind of like, what's the point of Joshua?
Yep.
I end up, I end up screaming in satisfaction for like when Clive finally says he loves Jill. It's like, yes, we got a confession. Let's
It
go.
took so long.
Let's go. Kind of deal there. But like,
We'll just push that naked on the beach scene aside.
that was a little weird. I could have
That
done
was a little
without
weird.
that.
Didn't have to do that. We
Yeah.
can get,
We can get Shiva's powers with like her clothes on, maybe.
Yes.
But
yes.
But then they threw Vivi in there. Like we all took a picture in front of the
Yep.
scarecrow that looked like Vivi. They threw a Moogle in there. There was a lot of
Yep.
throwbacks too. Continue. Sorry, Barry. I had to
Yep.
throw that out there.
Yep.
No, and like the active time lore stuff, I do admit is a good option for people who want to get really into it. Because, and I'm not sure how much you guys got into it, but during Barnabas, when he's talking to Ultima and he transforms into that girl, I was like, oh, Barnabas got a hot girlfriend, hot wife. He wants to bring back. It's his mom.
I didn't look at that.
So,
Been there. No, it's like
I was like, oh, this is now weird. This isn't this isn't cool anymore. I thought he was trying to bring back his girlfriend or something, and he's coddling Ultima's illusion as his mom. It was like a funny thing that like if you read into it, you can get that out of it. You can get that little bit extra out of it, but not everybody wants to read into it. Side quests could have been a bit more spread out. I'm okay with the amount, just spread them out a bit more. I don't need to be, and here's an idea. Last night before recording, I beat Barnabas, and I knew, like, okay, we're about to do a whole bunch of side quests. I think I started at 7 a.m. I did not get to that final boss battle, until from Barnabas over to Ultima, 6 times, until like 1 p.m. today. So it is. There's one big story section for Ultima, and then it's all of the side quests that they make you do. Again, at the end of it, I'm kitted out. I got the, I have the best weapon, and you look decked out. The sword looks cool. It doesn't look lame. Thank God.
Yep.
But yeah, just overall, like Final Fantasy VII, like remake is still loading for me. I am excited to like eventually when you have to face Sephiroth and it builds up to that. But right now, like the boss battles of 16, the graphics, the way I cared about the characters, genius on them to let you reset your abilities without any penalty, because I did that so many times trying to figure out like how to get to 150k damage on a stagger. I was in school. I was doing numbers. I was like, how do I get
your
to
pen and paper out?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, okay, Diamond Disc gets me to 1.5x. Okay, so I got to do that move first. Now, what do I roll into that? So it was funny to do that. It's too bad you don't get a trophy for it, nevertheless. But like Final Fantasy 16 blew my expectations out of the water.
Same.
Like I got the similar feeling for me, and it's like when my fingers go numb because of how like fun and excited and lost in the moment I am. Like 15 never did that for me. 13-2 did with the Caius boss battle, and Final Fantasy 16 did it with this. The 6-stage crazy boss fight, and I loved every second of it. Other than the side quests. The side quests were a measly loading screen for all of the the lasers and balls of light that you're throwing at each other with Ultima. So I can't suggest it enough. There's rumor about DLC coming out, and people are trying to identify Leviathan because he is mentioned in the story as well.
Right.
Leviathan is never,
Yeah.
Joshua calls him the Lost. So like I guess he's not part of the plan, I guess, in a way, but you mention him. He's obviously he probably should have been mentioned in a way. With Final Fantasy 2, I just wanted to mention like the whole portion when he traps you in Waylude and you're like trapped. Supposedly, like I could still fast travel over to the hideaway. It's kind of like, come on, like you guys could have just said no, you can't do anything until you put down this force field sort of thing here.
And they do that at points where they make it so you can't fast travel.
Yeah, they do.
I just thought it would make sense for that portion, probably very specific. Yeah, you should be able to fast travel back to the hideout once you're trapped.
Yeah.
leave someone there who can sell you potions or goots is available at random moments to
Yep.
He
buy
is,
that
and
for
he's a blacksmith out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, somehow he can do both. We don't question it. It's Final Fantasy. Some things
yeah.
just make sense.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
man.
incredible.
Hmm.
Didn't expect this much from it. Glad I bought the special edition because that steelbook looks nice.
Does it have your number one spot right now for the
For
year?
oh man,
That's the real
Ooh.
question.
recency bias. I'm gonna say yes. Like
Okay.
I am 4 hours after it. I do need to like
Right.
Yeah,
process
honeymoon
myself
phase.
right now,
Hmm.
but um, there's not a game that made me feel that way
Right.
this year. My fingers numb. I did everything I wanted to with style. Finished finished Ultima off with the Odin Zankutsen finishing move.
Yes.
Hmm.
I stood up and looked at the crowd and I went, "Are you not entertained?"
Are you
As
not? Is this not
Yep.
why you were here?
as I finished Ultima. So yeah, I know I'm jaded because I'm newer to like the Final Fantasy, and I just love what they do sometimes to make you feel like an ultimate, a powerful god, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what they did in the end there. So, awesome, love it. Anything else?
No, I think we hit all that.
I think we hit it.
Yeah,
I'm very happy with the commentary here.
Mhm.
a lot more talk about Final Fantasy, which is what I wanted. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. We can go into movies this week as well.
Sure.
So movies this week for me, I did watch something. I watched Nimona. Now that I'm back in my
Sweet.
Netflix account, what did you guys watch?
I am fresh off of Barbie. Just watched that. I watched The Flash, and apparently it's been long enough that I watched a documentary entitled Glitch, which is the rise and fall of HQ trivia. Apparently it's been long enough that we have a documentary about it.
Oh,
And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I play that every day.
I
And
did
I
too.
totally forgot about it until I saw that documentary. I was like, oh yeah, HQ trivia.
Well, I'm sorry. What is HQ trivia?
You didn't play
Yeah,
HQ trivia?
remember
No.
it came on at specific times a day,
It
and there
came
was a
on
huge.
twice a day, and it was an
Yeah,
app on your phone, and it was live streamed, and you had to answer questions, and then the people who answered them all right, you got money, like real money. I think I won twice, in that time frame. It went for about, I don't even think it was a year,
yeah. That's it. Sounds like a good amount of the right amount of time,
like a year maybe. Yeah,
and you split it with whoever won. So like
yeah,
sometimes, like I think people actually did win. I haven't seen the documentary, but like a lot of times people would win like 76 cents because of how many
yep,
people that
yep.
did win.
I won the first time I won. I got 25 cents. I think the second time I won, it was like $3. But yeah.
I
But
have no
anyway,
clue.
oh, you missed that train, I
I
guess.
did, I guess.
It wasn't even that long ago. It was like 2018,
Mm.
something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I watched Zom 100,
Yes.
the available episodes.
Yep.
And then I also, this is left field, even though it came out last year. I watched Men,
Oh
the,
yeah,
the movie
Okay.
Men.
the horror movie.
Yeah, I'll call it that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for that because that ending. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anyways, that movie's weird.
Go ahead.
I'm glad the anime corner is all coming into play now.
Don't get too
Yes.
comfortable
Yeah,
over there. I'm gonna
everybody's
boot myself out of it real quick.
everybody's in the anime corner
Yes.
now. I'll talk about Nimona real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I really did love this movie too. It's a fun little movie about like, one accepting like who you are and also like trying to like perceptions of people, I guess, especially in Nimona's case. But the animation style is great. I love Nimona. Like she drives that movie so much for me. And
Chloe.
she's the fun character that like she's saying what's on her mind, what you're thinking. And so many times in movies the character has to be stoic. He doesn't speak his mind that much or answers very plainly. Uh Nimona's not that. Nimona's all about like expressing herself, and I love that. I love how eccentric she is because it's just refreshing. I think in a way, it's fun to watch her interact with. I don't know what his name is.
I
And
don't remember his name either.
see, my problem is I want to call him Barnabas, but he's not because
He
he
kind of
kind of
is.
looks like
He kind of
Barnabas.
is. Yeah.
So I'm glad of thinking of that. That's how it goes. But like it ends, I think, in a good way too. A little bit, um, kind of this like somber feeling. Then after credits, you get something a little bit happier with it,
Yeah.
at least. But just definitely overall, like in a world where it feels like Netflix is charging the most money and not giving you what it's worth, I enjoyed my time with. I really did enjoy my time with them. It's one of the like Netflix originals. Like, yeah, that was good.
It
Make
was
more of
worth it.
that. Make
Yep.
that.
Make that and Extraction movies. More of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I asked for. Okay. So yeah, Glitch: The Rise and Fall of HQ. That is on Max. So apparently, Barry, you missed that train, but for myself, and I'm assuming Craig, you as well. Like that
Oh,
was
I
such
was
a
playing.
it was a highlight of my day, to the point where like even when I was working, I was like, hold on, I need like 15 minutes so I can do this trivia real quick. It was just
Mhm.
such a fun experience. It reminded me of playing 1 versus 100 on my Xbox back in the day, where you're all
That was a
just
fun
like,
game.
we're going to be here at this time, but it was easier because it's on your phone. But it's very interesting to see how it all came about. The people who made it were the creators of Vine, and did not know that. It
Really?
gives you a nice backstory and interviews with our boy Scott Rogowski, the host. He was great. I loved him
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what he's doing now. But yeah, it's super entertaining. It's wild to me that we already have a documentary about it, because it feels like yesterday we were playing this game. But yeah, it's a good documentary if you were into that game, to kind of see how it got created, the downfall of it, and what happened to create the downfall, because it fell hard and fast. It crashed and burned quick. But yeah, so that was on there. The Flash, Barry, I know you watched this movie as well.
Hmm.
I think I like it. Most of it. I I still
I agree with all that.
I still think that DC, when they try to do comedy, comes across as too corny sometimes. That's how I like. They're. I don't think it works as well when they try to do like the Marvel style comedy, and they're trying to do that here with this movie. But I think like the overall story is good. I enjoyed what he was doing, why he was trying to go back in time, the consequences of going back in time. I liked the two different versions of himself, three technically. Um, I like all the cameos. Michael Keaton is fantastic. Seeing all the other versions, kind of like we got with Doctor Strange, all the different universes, seeing all the different Superman variations that I've grown up with was cool. And they have all of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you get to see a lot. You get to see Ben Affleck at the beginning. You get to see Michael Keaton. Um, the Batman at the end blew my mind.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
went, no way. And if they can keep that going forward, I would absolutely be on board 2000%. Because I did not hear anything about that, did not see it coming, and I went, there is no way they did that. But it was cool. And he's a good Flash, Ezra Miller, despite all the off-screen issues going on. I think he pulls off Barry Allen pretty well. Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I still think DC has some work to do. I have a lot of hope in Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle
Yep.
coming out soon.
Yep.
I hope that does well for them. I do think they need a solid reboot of the universe. I think you can keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she does a good job.
She does.
If you can hold on to that version of Batman, please keep him. And I think they have something potentially good here. Potentially. We'll see.
Yeah.
We will see. This was supposed to be the end of that universe, right? Or the start. I'm confused as to what they're going for
I
here.
think it's the start, but I think he did mention like he has no like there's no hand in the Aquaman movie. There's no
Right.
hand in the Blue Beetle movie either.
Right.
So it's like we're still getting some movies that aren't like his idea, but apparently they're separated enough from the
Mm-mm.
rest of the universe to not affect
Right.
his. I
Right.
will the Batman decision. Like the major thing for me is it gives me hope because that
Yeah.
actor is older that we
Right.
are going to maybe see a Batman Beyond character, and
Yes.
because we're getting like a younger Superman apparently,
Yes.
like a younger Batman may work as well, like with this whole thing.
Mhm.
I know I hope that's all I can really hope for.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
again, it was much like you, and I if I have to rank how I felt at the end of movies, like the end of Transformers would still like WTF, what's going on? Why are they
Yeah.
doing this? It's slightly below that Flash reveal at the end, for me at least.
Yeah.
Because that actor, like he was the Batman I grew up with. I did not
Yeah.
grow up with Michael Keaton. You know,
Yep.
he's in the movie a ton, but
Yeah.
that's not the Batman I grew up with. So it's different. It feels so much different, especially
It does.
considering his movies are not universally loved.
Correct. And just the fact that I never thought I'd see him as Bruce Wayne again.
Yeah.
Ever. But there he was. And I was like, apparently he's okay with it, at least in a small role. And then all right, I'm fresh off of Barbie, like you're fresh off of Final Fantasy.
So
I
one
have
question before you go
yes.
into it.
Yeah.
For how many seconds is Dua Lipa on the screen?
I didn't
This
see
is
her at
important.
all.
No, really? She's not in the movie?
I don't think so, unless I didn't recognize her.
How could you not recognize her? It's Dua Lipa.
I don't listen to Dua Lipa, Barry.
Fair enough. It's just
All
me.
right. So the best way to describe this movie is for us, three gentlemen here in this virtual room. This movie is made by women, and it is for women. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, but this movie is a if when I was watching it in the theater, and there's a lot of women in the theater and there's a lot of guys there with their wives and their girlfriends and such, but if you look at it from that frame, this movie is a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. What they're doing, it's not what I expected. You kind of go into it as like, this is going to be, like Will Ferrell's in there, this is Adam McKay, this is going to be a comedy goldmine, and it is funny, but man, the the angle they go for, and just they're angling for what it's like to be a woman, right? What it's like to be in the normal world, not the Barbie world, but the normal world as a woman, and the difficulties that are in there. And also they touch on Ken doesn't get left out here, right? Because I think there's a point where I had to sit back and be like, I understand what this movie is going for. And Ken can be set up in this movie as the bad guy, kind of. And I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for, but they do a good job of tying it all together at the end. And I can't help but look at that movie and just think that it is, like I said, it's a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible. Not what I was expecting out of the movie, but I cannot complain at all. This is going to be probably in my top 10 somewhere. And I didn't expect it to be. I just expected it to be a funny movie that I'd be like, yeah, that was good. I appreciate that Margot Robbie gets to do different types of movies that showcase just how good of an actress she is. Because we know her as Harley Quinn, right? I think that's what a lot of people, but she is a really good actress. If you guys have ever seen I, Tonya, the Tanya Harding thing, she's incredible.
She's incredible in that.
There's like, the whole thing with her being able to portray the stereotypical Barbie, and realizing that, like, when she goes to the real world, that it's not what she thought the real world was, and that she doesn't know what type of Barbie she is. And there's a point where they show her as like the and I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but they show her as like she doesn't know who she is. She's like a broken down Barbie, right? She's like, I don't know what my purpose is. She's sitting there without the normal Barbie makeup on, and there is a narrator in this movie, and the narrator literally says, if we're trying to portray someone who is, like not looking their best, we probably shouldn't have picked Margot Robbie, which is hilarious. But yeah, it is, man, it was so incredibly well done. That I just, that's like as close to a perfect movie as you can get, I think.
I look forward to seeing
And
it.
I still haven't seen Oppenheimer either, which is
Yeah.
probably going to be up there as well.
Yeah, it's probably going to be fantastic.
But definitely go see Barbie for sure. Don't leave it out, even if somebody like me or like I don't really care about Barbie. You're still going to enjoy the movie.
Good.
You know what wasn't? You know what isn't close to a perfect movie? The movie Men.
Oh boy, can you
Good
give that one
segue.
negative numbers?
Good segue.
The movie Men.
Give me that ending.
So, I mean, I had to look up the actress, Jessie Buckley. She's in The Devil in Me. So the Dark Pictures, Devil in Me. She's captured there, but she's also in oh my god. Oh, now I'm forgetting it.
See if I can find it.
Why can't I remember the Russian place that was infected by nuclear waste?
Chernobyl.
She was in Chernobyl.
Yeah. There you go.
Good Lord. Yeah. So she was in Chernobyl as well. I haven't watched Chernobyl yet, unfortunately.
Fantastic
but
TV show.
Yeah,
I know
great.
I need to get on that. That's actually probably what I'll do in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, so the story essentially is her character is plagued by the suicide of her husband. It's not a spoiler. You see it in the first 5 minutes. Husband's abusive. And he threatens to kill himself if she doesn't not if she's unless she stays with him. She has a fight with him. She dies. There's a pretty dramatic scene in the beginning where they kind of lock eyes as he's falling from a higher height outside the window. And she kind of gets out into the countryside. She goes to the countryside to kind of regather herself on a weekend. And she rents this nice house. There's kind of an eccentric older gentleman who rents it out to her. And the story is about her being plagued by different men in the area.
It's only men in the area.
It's only men in the area who all have the same face.
Yeah.
They all have a similar or same face. It's all played by what's the guy's name? Rory Kinnear, which I also remember from other places, and I think I like him as well. But as she's kind of doing things throughout the area, she has this weird man who chases her throughout. Naked guy,
yeah.
Naked man chases her throughout. So here's what I'm going to say. It's not worth me telling you the rest of the story. If you want to,
no.
But here's what I'm going to say. This movie is the movie Mother,
yeah,
and Midsummer combined. It is very artsy. Until the end. It is very like what's going on, but this symbolizes something. I had to read up after it. The naked man symbolizes something within Christianity.
Right.
It's a symbolization too also of women versus men in terms of how men treat women in specific scenarios, whether they be by themselves or asking, like saying, like, is there a mister? Like kind of thing when a woman's alone, when that's not necessarily the polite thing to do. Like in turn, like there's so much going on. And then at the end,
how uncomfortable were you? Yeah, that uncomfortable.
I've watched Human Centipede 2.
Yeah.
And this one made me as uncomfortable as like the entirety of Human Centipede 2.
Yep.
But also I was confused as to why I was there. At least with a Human Centipede or something graphic like that, you know why you're there. You signed up for this.
Yep.
They
don't even explain it.
They don't. I'm just going to call it the birthing scene. But it's not even, that's not even doing it justice.
The multiple birthing scenes starts with woman, right?
It starts with
the naked man.
It starts with like the man, and
then he gives birth to another person who then gives birth, and it just keeps going.
It's essentially every male character in the film, and it ends up, and I didn't understand why I was still there. I had to watch 2 to 3 YouTube videos, and I couldn't even tell you still.
The birthing comes out where you would expect it to come out on a male person as well, Barry.
Exactly. It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Picture that in your mind. because that's what happens,
I don't
and it's
want
disgusting.
So like it did. Here's why I combined it with Mother and Midsummer, because I liked Mother
Oh, I
and
did
its
not.
symbolism. I did not like Midsummer.
Oh, I like Midsummer. That's
Wow,
funny.
that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So Midsummer gave me the vibe where it was building up to this, and then it got too artsy, and I didn't
Mhm.
understand why I wanted to be there. And that's what this movie was. It had an interesting build up. There was things going on. You're like, why is everybody's face the same? This could be
Yep.
weird. Is she dreaming? Is it going to be a figment of her imagination when she wakes up? Is she going to be transported back to the scene where her husband commits suicide, and this is just her mind dealing with it? No,
Nope.
you walk out of the theater or off of your couch, or if you're peering out of your kitchen to like watch the rest of it, whatever you're doing, you get left there and you're like, men.
Yep.
Like,
Men.
I don't recommend it. I remember being intrigued by the trailer and being like, this is good enough. And like the title of the movie is very, very like forthcoming and like,
Yeah.
watch this, men. Like, you know what I mean?
It remind me of It Follows,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
And like, I don't know. When I was done with it, I was done with it. I'm not watching it again.
Ooh.
I don't necessarily, I can't recommend it. Normally you guys see I'm usually a little bit um I give us some leeway with a lot of film that I watch. I can't with this one. So let's
Mhm.
go on to Zom 100.
Yeah,
Watch this.
I feel like
Yes.
my
Watch them.
face was stuck on the same expression
Uh-huh.
for probably a good 10 minutes there.
I thought you
You can't even
glitched. Yeah,
explain that movie. It's just
I can't.
weird.
I can't.
It starts off so well, and I'm like, all right, this is interesting. She's all the men in the area seem very sinister. There's this naked guy that's stalking her. This is interesting. And
Mhm.
then it just takes that wild turn at the end and doesn't explain itself.
I was gonna
I was like,
say
well,
it
what did I
doesn't.
just watch?
It didn't explain itself as to why the men
No.
are giving birth through.
No.
It
I
didn't.
mean, it's kind of like, I guess you're to imply like, oh yeah, this is all the same person. I get that. But why the birthing scene one after the other after the other after the other? I don't know. It
I don't
just
know.
felt like it never ended. I was like, okay, here we go. Here's another pregnant guy. Okay,
Yeah.
now he's gonna push another baby out of you know where.
Yeah,
All right, here we
it
go
happened
again.
like, yeah, it's like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's liberation for the character. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's her finally reaching insanity from what she went through in the relationship, or in even in the town with the relationship. I don't know what was her reality. I don't
Yeah.
know. And I kind of wasted like an hour and a half of my life. So
Mm-hmm.
um every Sunday, which is I believe when the episodes are coming out, I will be tuning into Zom 100.
Yes.
It is exactly for all the reasons. I like anime. I know we say Barry's anime quarter, but I do dabble in anime. I do like me some anime, just not as much as Barry.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm with you guys. I think Craig, you said it this particular time, and I think both of us like nodded and like grunted in agreement with you. If you get me with color and music,
Yeah.
I'm there. That's what Cyberpunk did for me. The Cyberpunk series. There's other things that I can't think of now that I can definitely list where you got me in terms of that, but it checks off all the right boxes. The stupidity of the main character, but also the lovable stupidity. Like you said, the second episode is him just going on a beer run, but there's so much more. They introduce a new character in the mix, and she's got one of the standard tropes that comes with an anime, which is like the very serious. Why are you enjoying things in life when it's all
Right.
about being serious and everything down to the letter? I've seen that in other anime. Um it's just such an interesting take. I like the character that got introduced in Zom 100. I don't understand why he's not dead. He's just biking down the road singing to
Yeah.
himself about beer.
Yeah.
um
Yep.
Interesting take on what happened to on his love interest, the initial love interest, and also how they introduced, because like I liked that he has a list that he wants to do before becoming a zombie. He's already announced his own fate to himself by saying he will become one. He thinks he
Yep.
will. However, he wants to like Morgan Freeman this bucket list before that happens, and I like that idea
Yeah.
because it's new. It's a newer idea. It's a newer take on zombies. And I can't wait to see how it gets incorporated because I was watching like the ending credits. In the ending credits, I saw another female character that hasn't been introduced yet. So I'm excited to see when that person gets introduced. I have not read the manga or the graphic novels. Should there be both? But this is something I can't wait for. Like, I'm excited for the new episode to happen. It's just fantastic. And I guess, it's a good concept. Guy just wants to do the things he wants to do in life after a zombie outbreak. I felt a jab with the work portion.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I thought
100%.
I was like, are you talking to me? Like, it's
Yep.
like not like to that level, but it's a very interesting take on he has the bright eye. He comes into a new job. I don't care what position like any of us have in this moment, but like there has been a job in my past that I've walked into and I'm just like, I'm gonna stay late and start early. I remember being a kid and like having that mentality, and then like it's just like, what?
Yep.
And then to not the degree that Zom 100 did, but to some degree, the job was doing like some of those things to me, where it's just like, I don't want to get like, like that kind of thing. So I did find that quite funny, in before the zombie outbreak. So it's a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to continue watching it. Again, you guys need anime suggestions. I have them ready to go with the holster. So,
Just to be clear, this particular version is not available in its entirety on Crunchyroll, is it? This is an adaptation of a manga that's not available on Crunchyroll.
it's on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, but you
In
not
its
like
current state.
not the whole season though.
Yes,
Just-
correct. So wait, is the whole season on Netflix?
No.
So
No,
you can watch them both in the same time. It's like
Yes.
both of them have 2 episodes out on either
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that I shouldn't leave this podcast and binge it. Like if there was something I
I
didn't know about.
wish I could watch it all.
Okay.
No, and yeah, just keep in mind too, like usually the ending credits and the opening credits, they're all like completely shots not from like the anime. So like
Mhm.
those characters are in there, like that much is true, but there's not like a scene where you aren't going to see a picture of them driving on the highway or something like that. Like
Right.
like it is in the
Got it.
ending.
Yeah.
You guys knew to anime. I gotta explain it. Just
Thanks.
just the way the
I'm
world
gonna
works.
write that down. I'm gonna write that
Listen,
down.
if it didn't happen in Food Wars, I don't know.
Exactly. What I don't have to explain the ending for is for the ending of this podcast, as you guys already know how it goes. I want to thank everybody for listening. I would appreciate if you are on a podcast listening platform, if you would give us a review and share it with your friends if you feel so inclined. You could follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram if you prefer. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear people's like final thoughts about Zelda, about Barbie, about Final Fantasy 16. There's a ton of stuff you guys could go into. I will let everybody know we may be taking a week off next week just because Craig's getting work done on his house. I'm moving. May just be easier to take a week off. So hopefully, an hour and 50-minute podcast is enough for you guys.
Yeah.
Again, appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.